have successfully completed what I would identify as my very first official handmade cosplay. I selected the character Leena from one of my favorite video games, Chrono Cross, and today I'm going to share the journey with you. There is some video footage, some photos, and while I wasn't able to document the whole process and the lighting was sometimes problematic, this entire cosplay was constructed out of thrift store materials or materials I already owned. My first step was the robe. I used a brown-orange circular tablecloth, and I made a few drafts kind of with a little piece of paper, almost like an origami style draft, just to see how I could make a robe out of a circle. The tablecloth was big enough that I was able to cut it completely in half, which is a good thing because what you're watching right now is a bad take. My measurements were somehow off and I made this first draft way too small. So it's a really good thing I had the second half of the tablecloth to try again. And that time I got it. However, later in this video you will notice that the robe is rather big on me, so I still think I'm going to take it in a little bit in the future. But better too big than too small. Ooh, bad lighting, sorry. It's been probably about a month since I last worked on this. So I'm about to sit down and work on it some more. I've got some thread in that's a better color for some of the visible hems. So what I've noticed with this material is that it unravels pretty quickly, so I'm gonna try to get all these raw edges sewn up. I had to be sure to hem any rough edges of the robe because it was going to unravel. For the yellow trim, I just really kind of eyeballed it and it worked out okay. And these were yellow pillowcases. I feel like I am just taking kind of a dumb risk, but I'm gonna do the special hem, what's the right word? The little like trim. I'm gonna do the trim around the sleeves. And it looks like from here to here is long enough to wrap around the sleeve. So hopefully that'll work. So I think I'll make the trim 1.25 inches. So I will cut this 1 3/4 inches. So that I can fold it over. And as for the fabrics and the colors that I chose, thrift store cosplay is interesting because at least for me it was really all about timing. It was about what was in the store, what was available when I needed it. So if I'm looking for gold or yellow and they only have yellow, well, I'm just gonna grab that. So there is a slight variation from the reference picture and then the colors I ended up using, but you know, that's okay. I think it's all part of the fun of having to be resourceful to do thrift store cosplay. Funny story about Chrono Cross. My sister and I rented it, and you know, after we made it through the first dungeon, we got to that cutscene. which featured a bloody stabbing, and we got so scared that we turned the game off and put it away. Hey, so this is a check-in video. This is my progress on my Leena cosplay from Chrono Cross. I thought I would just stop with you and show you what I have done so far. So I have finished her robe. I know it looks like it's not finished, but that's because she's gonna have a waist piece, a belt right here. So here it is. This is my first thing I've ever really made, and I just figured I'm just gonna do it. And I know some of you might be cringing at certain parts of this, but I don't care. I'm a beginner, okay? And so, okay, this is a tablecloth. I made this out of a tablecloth from the thrift store, and then the trim is made out of a pillowcase. And I noticed, you'll see here, that the tablecloth unravels, so it had to be sewn up, and it's still pretty ratty on the ends, but I think it's gonna be wearable. Oh, and here's the back. I just did it. I don't know. I don't even know terminology, so I couldn't like look up how to make this. Anyway, so I finished that. I don't know, something happened. Like Leo season hit, and suddenly I was like, had to create. So what is next is she has like a bib thing that will go here in the front of the robe. So I got this black pillowcase from the thrift store, and that's what we're gonna make that out of. We're also gonna make, I'm also gonna make a headband for her out of this black, and then more yellow from this pillowcase here. More yellow is going to come into play. Yellow is going to outline the bib, the apron. Yellow is going to outline the apron and also be the trim on the headband. And the trickiest part that we have coming up is this like design on the apron. It's like kind of like a plant growing up towards the sun, and I was really contemplating what is going to be the best way to make it. So I've been kind of just sketching out stuff, so that's what the design's going to look like. And I just think the best method, I don't even know the terminology, but the best method is going to be for me to have 2 layers of this yellow, and then draw it, sew it up, and then turn it inside out so the seam is on the inside. I think I'm going to be able to do that with this shape. So that's what I'm going to try first, and I'm going to do a practice first on a different piece of fabric. I think it's so exciting. It's so inspiring to make something that even like slightly resembles what I'm going for. So stay tuned. I sewed the apron with 2 layers of black pillowcase, and I kind of did that inside out method again to turn the seam onto the inside. And for the yellow trim here, I very quickly found out that I definitely had to have 2 layers of yellow atop any black, because you could see the black through the yellow fabric pretty easily. And I eyeballed the shape of the trim here on the apron, and it definitely didn't come out perfect. There was probably a better way to do that, but I'm satisfied with how it looks nonetheless. So today I'm going to do a little test to see if I can get that pattern, that design on her apron, to see if I can make it the way I think I'm going to make it. So I'm going to use, this is a piece of the yellow tablecloth. It's just a scrap. I'll have enough to work with. So I'm going to do a test on this. I'm going to draw out the pattern, sew it together, and then see if I can turn it inside out. And so have the seams on the inside and for it to like lay flat and look right and all that. So I'm going to try that with this scrap and we'll see how it goes. So here is what it looks like now that I have sewn the shape. I left the top open and that's where we're going to turn it inside out through. So I'm going to cut all around here and then try to turn it inside out and see what happens. Okay, so here's what it looks like. And I'm going to do my best now to turn it inside out. So here's where we're at right now. I've got to say this, such a small piece is very hard to work with, but I think I've done enough to know that with a bigger piece, I'll definitely be able to do this. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the larger version. Okay, so I just drew out my pattern on this piece of paper, and now I'm going to give it like a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch seam allowance and trace it out onto yellow fabric and get started. Here is the finished product. It came out pretty good. I can't really get it to lay flat, but I'm gonna iron it and see what happens then. The sun, I used this whole inside out method, and that was pretty easy to do. The triangles using the inside out method were not quite as easy, but it was good enough. Oh, the belt. The belt was my favorite part. I was so into this process, I didn't really document it very much, but I used some denim that was saved from a pair of jeans that I turned into shorts. So I thought having denim as the inner layer would give it a little more structure and help prevent it from bunching or riding up. I just sewed it together, hemmed up the rough edges, and then I used a green tablecloth for the outer layer. I decided to go for the pleats. Leena's picture shows pleats, so I just eyeballed those. Pinned them down, sewed them down, and then attached it to the belt, and that went okay. For the armbands, I wanted to find this ribbon, this ribbon that has beads that hang off of it. I had a hard time finding that online. You know, I was going to buy it from Joann's or something, but I ended up getting this tablecloth or curtain or something. I'm not really sure what this is. The beads were clear, not brown or gold, but it's okay. So I cut the trim off of that and then sewed some of the tablecloth over that to create arm straps, and then I sewed Velcro on the inside. I didn't end up documenting any of the headband process, but basically what I did was cut a 52-inch long strip of yellow and then a 52-inch strip of black that was slightly thinner than the yellow, and sewed them together. The jewel on the headband, as well as the Komodo dragon scale, are made by me with polymer clay and painted with acrylic paint. Well, hey there! So, I'm here to check in. I'm pretty much done with my Leena cosplay. So let me just show you what I've got here. First is the headband, which is connected with Velcro. I still have to add a gemstone here. Here is the full look. I made these little armbands. I'm probably going to have to use like some body tape when I actually wear them, but they're attached with Velcro. I really love the belt. I put denim underneath so it's kind of thick and structured, and then it's connected with Velcro in the back. The apron is tied to a ribbon, which I have tied behind the belt here. And these bracelets are from the thrift store, and they're pretty great because they're for smaller wrists, so they'll stay in place. Let me just show you my shoes. Can you see them? My shoes are from the thrift store, so are these socks. All I'm missing, I'm going to make my Komodo dragon scale necklace. Gonna put the gem right here. Gonna tie ribbons around my hair. May get an orange red wig one day. May just use my natural hair. Other than the finishing touches, it's done. I don't know if it's fastened well in the back, but it's done. The robe's a little big, so I do have it like folded over a couple times here in the front, but I think that's totally fine. It'll stay in place. And all I need is a frying pan or a spoon. I personally like the spoon or the fork as a weapon. And this is really comfortable. If I ever am able to wear this to a con, it is super comfortable to wear. It's very functional. I think Leena is a very practical girl. Everything is made from thrift store items, except the dress is very old. It's from Old Navy. And I know she does have like a pattern drawn here on the skirt. I don't know if I'm gonna do that. She also had slits here in the sleeves. I am not doing that because this tablecloth will unravel if I cut it up anymore. But here she is. This has been really fun, really rewarding, and I'm so excited that I have finally dove in to cosplay for real. And we'll see what's next. I am extremely new to sewing, and even though I've taken a couple of sewing classes in my life, I never really felt prepared to start something like this. But it's something that I always wanted to do. I was like, someday I'm going to do that, someday I'm going to do that. Well, I'm 31, like when is someday? So I decided to just start. And from this experience, I can say that if you know how to thread the machine and load a bobbin and just do a straight stitch, then you can start, because that's just what I did. And then my method is that as soon as I encounter a problem or a question, I will then seek out the answer. So I'm just going to learn as I go. I'm really happy about this cosplay. I can't believe I made it. I can't wait to do more. I hope I can go to a con one day, and I hope someone will know who I am. I hope this was fun for you to watch. Maybe even inspired you or made you feel like you can do it. I think if I can do it, anyone can do it. So thank you so much for watching.